Jai Saparikashi Shri Guru Gaurachandra Ju Ki Jai. Jai Shri Giraj Govardhan Ju Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Astater Siddha Shri Śrīman Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Astater Siddha Shri Śrīman Srila Bhakti Rakak Sri Dardev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai. Welcome to Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mission Morning Class. Dandavat. Haribol Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitangstam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitangscha Om Agyanatimirandasya Dhyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Haribo. Jai, continuing to study and read and worship Sri Chaitanya Charitāmṛta. We are now on verse number 15 of the 16th chapter of the Antya Lila. Haribol, Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Dvaita Chandra, Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Ki Jai. Srila Om Vishnupad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Haribol. Okay, this chapter is entitled The Lord Tastes Nectar. Text 15. Amra Beta Diyatara Charana Vandila Tarapat Nire, Tara Patnire Tabe Namaskara Kaila. So hearing about Kalidas. Kalidas presented the mangoes to Yadu Ṭhākura and offered him respectful obeisances. Then he also offered respectful obeisances to the Thakur's wife. Patni Sahita Teho Achena Bashia Pahu Samana Kaila Kalidas Era Dekiya. When Kalidas went to Yadu Ṭhākura, he saw that saintly person sitting with his wife. As soon as Yadu Ṭhākura saw Kalidas, he likewise offered his respectful obeisances unto him. Ishtagoshti kata kṛṣṇa-kathā Yadu Ṭhākura kahe tare madhura vachane. After a discussion with Kalidas that lasted for some time, Yadu Ṭhākura spoke the following sweet words. Amin. I belong to a low caste, and you are a very respectful guest, a respectable guest. How shall I serve you? So this is Yadu Ṭhākura speaking. Agyadeha brahmanagare analanya diye tahatumi prasada pao tabeami jiye. If you will permit me, I shall send some food to a Brahmin's house, and there you may take prasadam. If you do so, I shall then live very comfortably. He's saying, I don't think you should take prasadam at my house, but I can send something to a Brahmin's house, and there you can take prasadam. Kalidas Ṭhākura kripakara more tomara darshane ainu mui patita pamare. Kalidas replied, "My dear sir, please bestow your mercy upon me. I have come to see you, although I am very fallen and sinful." Pachitra hainu muyim hainu darshana, kritarta hainu mora sapala jivana. Simply by seeing you, I have become purified. I am very much obligated to you, for my life is now successful. This is quite a big theme in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, going from the external to the internal, more external to the internal. So the Brahmin is certainly more respected in the Varnashram than someone born in a lower family. But here, because he is a Vaishnava, Kalidas is making no distinction whatsoever, but he's come to get the grace of Yadu Ṭhākura. Akavanchaha jadi kripa karikara padarajadeham paramoramate dara. My dear sir, I have one desire. Please be merciful to me by kindly placing your feet on my head, so that the dust on your feet may touch it. Thakur kahe aiche bar kahita najujaya aminicha jati tumi shusha janaraya. Yadu Ṭhākura replied, "It does not befit you to ask this of me. I belong to a very low-class family, whereas you are a respectable and rich gentleman." Excuse me. Tabe Kalidasa Shloka Padi Shunaila Shuni Yadu Ṭhākurera Bada Shuka Haila. Kalidas then recited some verses, which Yadu Ṭhākura was very happy to hear. Name Bhakta Chaturvedi Mad Bhakta Swapacha Priyaha Tasmai Deyam Tato Grahyam Sacha Pujyo Yatahyaham. Quote, even though one is a very learned scholar in Sanskrit literature, if he is not engaged in pure devotional service, he is not accepted as my devotee. But if someone born in the family of dog eaters is a pure devotee, with no motives for enjoyment through fruitive activity or mental speculation, he is very dear to me. All respect should be given to him, and whatever he offers should be accepted, for such devotees are indeed as worshipable as I am. This verse spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is found in the Hari Bhakti Bilas. Vipradvi sadguna yutadaravinda naba padaravinda vimukats swapachang varistam manyetararpita manovachane hitarta pranam punati sakulam natu buddhimana. A person may be born in a Brahmin family and have all 12 Brahminical qualities. But if in spite of being qualified, he is not devoted to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, who has a navel shaped like a lotus, he is not as good as a Chandala who has dedicated his mind, words, activities, wealth, and life to the service of the Lord. Simply to take birth in a Brahmin family or to have Brahminical qualities is not sufficient. One must become a pure devotee of the Lord. If a Swapacha or a Chandala is a devotee, he delivers not only himself, but his whole family, whereas a Brahmin, who is not a devotee, but simply has Brahminical qualifications, cannot even purify himself. What to speak of his family? That's a very astonishing statement. And it is, I don't know where this is quoted from, but maybe from the same as the previous one. So this is a scientific thing. There are material things, and then there are divine spiritual qualifications. And they don't always come into clash with one another. But when they do come into clash, then it is the higher principle which must predominate. So the Brahminical qualities of cleanliness, truthfulness, study of the scriptures, all these things, these are very good and helpful to us in our spiritual life, definitely. However, they're only assisting in becoming a devotee. If they're just there and no one's becoming a devotee, then they're not useful. Anyone may have been a Brahmin many, many, many times and staying in the cycle of birth and death. Aho bhata swapacha to gariyan yajjivagre vartate namatubhyam te pustapaste juhuvu sasnurarya brahmanuchur namag grinanti jete. My dear Lord, anyone who always keeps your holy name on his tongue is greater than an initiated Brahmin. Although he may be born in the family of dog eaters, and therefore by material calculation to be the lowest of men, he is glorious nevertheless. And it's not that he's going on eating dogs either, generally speaking. That is the wonderful power of chanting the holy name of the Lord. One who chants the holy name is understood to have performed all kinds of austerities. He has studied all the Vedas. He has performed all the great sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas, and he has already taken his bath in all the holy places of pilgrimage. It is he who is factually the Aryan. Right, inoffensive name of Krishna. So if anyone is chanting, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, the results of all kinds of pious activities are automatically there for him. Any questions so far? So we're all born and we're worse than dog eaters. And I don't even want to mention why. Right? We are worse than dog eaters. But we've been given the holy name by our divine masters, and we're trying to chant that name properly. So this chance is given to anyone and everyone. But we don't continue with every previous behavior either. We are coming at least to the plane of a human. Shuni Thakur kahe shastra e satya kai se shesta aiche jante Krishna bhakti hai. Hearing those quotations from the revealed scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam, Yadu Ṭhākura replied, yes, this is true, for it is the version of the Shastra. It is true, however, for one who is genuinely advanced in devotion to Krishna. So he's saying, well, this is true, but if you're referring to me, then this is not applicable because I am not a genuine devotee. Aminicha jati amara nahi Krishna bhakti, anya aiche hai amaya nahi aiche shakti. Such a position may befit others, but I do not possess such spiritual power. I belong to a lower class and have not even a pinch of devotion to Krishna. Purport. In his statement, Yadu Ṭhākura presents himself as being born in a low-class family and not having the qualifications of a bona fide devotee of Lord Krishna. He accepts the statements declaring a low-born person highly exalted if he is a Vaishnava. However, he feels that these descriptions from Srimad Bhagavatam appropriately describe others, but not himself. Yadu Ṭhākura's attitude is quite befitting a real Vaishnava, for a Vaishnava never considers himself exalted, even if he factually is. He is always meek and humble and never thinks that he is an advanced devotee. He assigns himself to a lower position, but that does not mean he is indeed low. Srila Guru Maharaj was saying that the devotee is always seeking the menial service. Any service, menial service, whatever service can come to him, he's happy to do that. But this, he says, this will not be ignorantly accepted in the upper plane as his unfitness. Rather, that is a symptom of his fitness. Quite the opposite of so-called fitness in mundane estimation. He assigns himself to a lower position, but that does not mean he is low. Sanatana Goswami once said that he belonged to a low-class family, for although he was born in a Brahmin family, he had associated with the Mlechas and Yavanas in his service as a government minister. Similarly, Yadu Ṭhākura presented himself as someone who belongs to a low class, but he was actually elevated above many persons in the Brahmin families. So there's so much evidence. This is quite a long purport here. Many evidences about this point. On and on and on and on and on. And these are very good in the understanding, especially when conversing with those from Vedic culture who have some association with Vedic culture. They're not as pertinent to us because we don't come from that type of background. But it is pertinent and it is good for preaching, especially in India. And Śrīla Saraswatī Ṭhākur established Brahmin initiation and the Brahminical thread in order to assure his disciples that the world that a Vaishnava is at least a Brahmin. And those who had come from lower families, he wanted to show them that being a Vaishnava is automatically higher than being a Brahmin, because it is the goal of Brahminical culture. So if one has reached the goal of Brahminical culture, then he is automatically more than a Brahmin at least. So that was his purpose in doing this. Otherwise, they will continue to think, oh, we're only Vaishnavas, but the Brahmins, they're the higher person. And he's saying, no, you don't understand the facts. Tare namaskari Kalidas vidaya magila Yadu Ṭhākura tabetara anubrajyaila. Kalidas again offered his obeisances to Yadu Ṭhākura and asked permission to go. The saint Yadu Ṭhākura followed him as he left. Tare vidaya diya Ṭhākura jadikare aila Tara charana chinna Jay Dhvani padila. After bidding farewell to Kalidas, Yadu Ṭhākura returned to his home, leaving the marks of his feet plainly visible in many places. Because there's sand. Usually in those times there was sand outside the door, so wherever a person walked, their footprints could be easily seen. And it's also significant that Yadu Ṭhākura followed Kalidas leaving the house. Especially a respectable or senior person, when they're leaving someone's house, or even in the case of like a sannyasi or somebody leaving the temple, he shouldn't leave alone. He should be accompanied. This is a Vaishnava etiquette. Seidu lilanya Kalidasa sarvangele pila taranikata akastane lukanya rahila. Kalidas smeared the dust from those footprints all over his body, and then he hid in a place near Yadu Ṭhākura's home. Are you catching this? Yadu Ṭhākura garajai teki amrapala manase Krishna Chandre arpila shakala Upon returning home, Yadu Ṭhākura saw the mangoes Kalidas had presented. Within his mind, he offered them to Krishna Chandra. Kalara patu yakola haite amran nakai nikashiya tarapatni tare deha kayena chushiya. Yadu Ṭhākura's wife then took the mangoes from their covering of banana tree leaves and bark and offered them to Yadu Ṭhākura, who began to suck and eat them. So when they were presented, they were wrapped up in banana leaves. So in his mind, Yadu Ṭhākura was offering them full-heartedly to the Lord, and his wife unwraps them and gives them. And he's eating them. Chusi chusi chosa anti pelila patuyate tare karoyanya tara patnikaya paschate. When he finished eating, he left the seeds on the banana leaf, and his wife, after feeding her husband, later began to eat. Anti chosa se patuya kolate bariya bahire uchistagarte pelai lalanya. After she finished eating, she filled the banana leaves and bark with the seeds, picked up the refuse, and then threw it into the ditch where all the refuse was thrown. That's an ancient tradition in India, but this is all compostable. Now it's all plastic and all kinds of junk. But in those days, everything is decomposing, the dogs come, and there's a whole synergistic system. That's a very off the topic, but I cannot say that. Se kola anti chokala chushe kalidas chushite hai premete ulas. Kalidas licked the banana bark and the mango seeds and skins, and while licking them, he was overwhelmed with jubilation and ecstatic love. So he did this secretly. He was hiding. And as soon as that was thrown into the place, the proper place, he went and got that. E mata jatsa Vaishnava Vaishe Goda Deshe Kalidas Aiche Shabara Nila Avasheshe. In this way, Kalidas ate the remnants of food left by all the Vaishnavas residing in Bengal. Se Kalidasa Jabinila Chale Aila Mahaprabhu Tara Upara Mahakripa Kaila. When Kalidas visited Jagannath Puri, Nilachal, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed great mercy upon him. Prati Dina Prabhu Jadina Yana Darashane Jalakara Jala Karangalanya Govinda Jaya Prabhushane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would regularly visit the temple of Jagannath every day. And at that time, Govinda, his personal servant, used to carry his water pot and go with him. So now, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would regularly visit the temple of Jagannath every day. And at that time, Govinda, his personal servant, used to carry his water pot and go with him. Singhadvarera uttara dike kapatera ade paisha pahachatale ache akanim nagare. On the northern side of the Singhadwar, behind the door, there are 22 steps leading to the temple. And at the bottom of those steps is a ditch. Se gade karena prabhupada prakshalane tabikari bare jai ishvara darashane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would wash his feet in this ditch, and then he would enter the temple to see Lord Jagannath. So a ditch doesn't mean a dirty place. It just means a hole. Govindere Mahaprabhu Kairyache Niyama Morapada Jala Jena Nalaya Kona Jana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered his personal servant Govinda, ordered his personal servant Govinda that no one should take the water that had washed his feet. Pranimatra laitena payase jala antaranga bhaktalai karikona chala. Because of the Lord's strict order, no living being could take the water. Some of his intimate devotees, however, would take it by some trick. Akadina prabhutaha pada prakshalite Kalidasa ashitaha patilena hate. One day, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was washing his feet in that place, Kalidas came and extended his palm to take the water. Aka Anjali Duri Anjali Tina Anjali Pila Tabe Mahaprabhu Tare Nisheda Karila. Kalidas drank one palmful and then a second and a third. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forbade him to drink more. So Mahaprabhu made a great exception in the case of Kalidas. But then he said, no, now that's enough. Ata para arana kariha punarbara eta vata vancha purana karilu tamara. Do not act in this way anymore. I have fulfilled your desire as far as possible. Sarvagya Shiromani Chaitanya Ishwara Vaishnava Tahara Vishvasa Janena Antara. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most exalted, omniscient, supreme personality of Godhead, and therefore he knew that Kalidas, in the core of his heart, had full faith in Vaishnavas. Se guna lanya prabhutare tushta haila anyera durlabha prasada tahare karila. Because of this quality, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu satisfied him with mercy not attainable by anyone else. Very significant. Vaisha pahacha pache uparadakshina dike akanishinga murti achena utitevama bhage. On the northern side, behind and above the 22 steps, is a deity of Lord Nrsingadev. It is on the left as one goes up the steps toward the temple. Pratidine tara prabhukarena namaskar namaskari e shloka pare barabar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his left side toward the deity, offered obeisances to Lord Nrsinga as he proceeded toward the temple. He recited the following verses again and again while offering obeisances. And I want to add here that Srila Rupa Goswami has given quite a few rules in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu regarding behavior in front of the deity. And I would like to print those. These are coming from Srila Rupa Goswami himself. We do not know who the Lord is, and we don't know what behavior before the Lord is pleasing or not pleasing. And we have to be taught these things because we don't know, and we don't even understand the depth of these things which are pleasing or unpleasing. We don't know why. But Srila Rupa Goswami says that when one offers obeisances to the deity, his left side should be to the deity. So really this is true. And when we offer obeisances, and I've gotten out of the habit of doing this, though we had that habit for many years, you go to the side of the room where, when you offer obeisances, your left side is to the Lord. But as you know, these are things that we are being taught, and we are following those things. And for those who are in the upper plane of devotion, they may break so many rules, actually, and we will see that. But they break them out of a higher principle of love and devotion. They're not breaking them out of, oh, well, I'm so great, I don't have to do this anymore. Not at all. So we are going forward in a very careful way. And some of those things are very beautiful, and by doing them, that understanding and the beauty of that thing can come into our hearts by the grace of that upper plane as they like. Any questions about that? Pratidina Tane Prabhu Kare Na Namaskar Namaskari E Shloka Pade Barabar. Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his left side toward the deity, offered obeisances to Lord Nrsimha. As he proceeded toward the temple, he recited the following verses again and again while offering obeisances. Namaste Narasimhaya Praladala Dadayane Hiranyakashipur Bhaksha Shilatanka Nakalaye. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, Lord Nrsimhadev. You are the giver of pleasure to Maharaj Prahlad, and your nails cut the chest of Hiranyakashipu like a chisel cutting stone. This and the following verses are quoted from the Nrsimha Purana. Ito Nrsimha Parato Nrsimho Yato Yami Tato Nrsimha Bahir Nrsimho Hridaye Nrsimho Nrsimha Mading Sharanam Prapadye. Lord Nrsimhadev is here, and he is also there on the opposite side. Wherever I go, there I see Lord Nrsimhadev. He is outside and within my heart. Therefore I take shelter of Lord Nrsimhadev, the original person, supreme personality of Godhead. Jai Saparika, oh Mahaprabhu. Jai Saparika Shishi Guru Gaur Chandraju Shri Giraju Ki Jai. Tabe Prabhu Karila Jagannatha Darashana Kare Ashe Majjana Karila Bojana. Having offered obeisances to Lord Nrsimhadev, Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Lord Jagannath. Then he returned to his residence, finished his noon duties, and took his lunch. So in our Jay Dhvani, we're singing Bhakti Vigna Vinashai, Shri Nrsimhadev Ki Jai, Bhakti Pravar Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Because in Lord Nrsimhadev, Binash, we know Binash means destroy, right? And those things which are impediments in our devotional progress, he can destroy those by his grace. And Lord knows there's a lot of them. In my case, like as far as the eye can see and beyond. Bahir dware ache Kalidas Pratyasha Karila Govindere Tare Prabhu Kahena Janiya. Kalidas was standing outside the door, expecting the remnants of food from Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Knowing this, Mahaprabhu gave an indication to Govinda. Mahaprabhura ingita Govinda Shabajane Kalidās Paṇḍit Prabhura Shesha Patradane. Excuse me. Govinda understood all the indications of Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, he immediately delivered the remnants of Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's food to Kalidas. Govinda was such a great servitor. And he could understand not only the indications of Mahaprabhu, any small indication, he knew what Mahaprabhu wanted, but sometimes before Mahaprabhu would even indicate something, he knew what was to be done. Vaishnavera Shesha Bhakta Bhaksanera Eketa. I'm going to start again. Vaishnavera Shesha Bhakshanera Eketa Mahima Kalidase Pao Yaila Prabhura Kripasima. Taking the remnants of the food of Vaishnavas is so valuable that it is induced Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to offer Kalidas his supreme mercy. Tate Vaishnavera Jutakau Chari Grina Laja Jahahaite paipa nija vanjita shabakaja. Therefore, giving up hatred and hesitation, try to eat the remnants of the food of Vaishnavas, for you will thus be able to achieve your desired goal of life. All right, so I think that I'll stop here, and we can start again on text 57 tomorrow, and this subject of the remnants of food of the Vaishnava. I can tell you a little story. One time, Srila Prabhupada was visiting in Chicago, and there was a big temple in Chicago, but it was fairly new, and still Śrīpad Maharaj arranged for Rath Yatra down State Street, and Srila Prabhupada mercifully came for that. But we arranged for a nice apartment for him, fairly nearby the temple. And in the morning, the devotees brought over big breakfast for Srila Prabhupada, breakfast prasadam for him. He had been in the temple in the early morning. Then he had gone to rest, and then the devotees brought big plate of prasadam. And it was my job to go and get that plate and bring it back to the temple. This is an admission. And bring it back to the temple. And whatever remnants were there, of course the devotees wanted to take those. Mahā Mahāprasādam. But in the car I sat and ate all of it. And one thing I remember really particularly was a wedge of orange that had his teeth marks in it. And I really was, I still really remember that. I got to take those remnants. And when I reached the temple, you can imagine what kind of trouble I was in.
What did they tell you?
Well, the devotee's like, where are the remnants of Srila Prabhupada? Like, and I said, well, I ate them all. And actually, they were like, what? And I was like, oh, well. So Srila Prabhupada once said, you should take Mahaprasad by hook or by crook. By hook or by crook.
What does that mean?
By hook or by crook, somehow or other, it means. Crook means by stealing. But anyway, that was one incident. But not a few years, it must have been 10 or 15 years later, I ran into one old, friend that had been in that temple. And that was really in the early 70s. And she was talking to me. She said, do you remember that day when you brought the plate from Prabhupada's apartment and you had eaten everything? It made such an impression on her. Oh dear. Hare Krishna. But anyways, we would very much be anxious for those remnants that was taught to us by Srila Prabhupada. How to take the remnants of the Vaishnava is considered to be Mahā Mahāprasādam. Haribol, Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitāmṛta ki Jai. Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj ki Jai. Srila Om Vishnupad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Oh dear, I had to admit that. Hare Krishna, Jai Śrī Upadeśāmṛta ki Jai. Srila Rupa Goswami ki Jai. Hare Krishna. All right, we are now going to read the commentaries by Srila Guru Maharaj. There are many, many beautiful commentaries in this book, but I've just decided to keep to the commentaries from the talks of Srila Guru Maharaj. But there are so many beautiful things here in this book. And we will probably go through again and read, for example, all the commentaries by Srila Yadu Ṭhākura and so on. But that was just a decision that I made. And as you see, we've been doing this for quite some time now. Okay, Jai. Vacha vegam manasakroda vegam jiva vegam udaropasta vegam etan vegam nyo vishaheta dhira sarvam apimam prithivim sasisyat atyahara prayasascha prajalponiyamagra janasangascha loyam cha satbir bhaktir binashati Utsahan nishayadharya tat karma pravartanat sangatyaga sato vrite sabir bhaktir prasidyati dadati pratigrahnati guhyamakyati prichati bhunkte bojayate chaiva sadvidam priti lakshanam Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dikshasti chet pranati bhischa bhajantamisham shushushaya bhajana vigyam ananyamanya nindadi shunya hridamipshita shangalabdya dishtaisha bhavajaniter vapushascha dosher na prakritatva miha bhakta janasya pasyet gangam vasam na kalu buddha pena panker brahmadravatvam apagachati niradharmai Syat Krishna nama charitari sitapya vidya Pito patapta rasanasya ratnurochikanu kinvadarananudinam kalushaiva jushta swadvikramad bhavati tadgada mulahantri. And then number 8, Tannamarupa charitadi sukirtananu smityo kramena rasana manasi niyojya Tistan vajetan anuragi jaganugami kalam nayerakilam ityupadeshasaram. Number 9. Vaikuntaj janito varamadupuri tatrapi rasotsavad Vindaranyam udarapani ramana tatrapi govardhanaha Radha kundamihapi kokulapate Pemamrita plavanat Kuryadasya birajyato giritate sevang vivekinakaha. And now, number 10. Kramibhya parito hare priyataya vyaktim yayurgyaninas Tebhyo jnana vimukta bhakti parama premaika nishtastata Tebhyasta pashupala pankaja dusastabhyopi saradika Preshta tadvariyam tadiya sharashitam nashraye kakriti. More dear to Krishna in all respects than performers of pious deeds are knowers of Brahman. Okay, so more dear to Krishna in all respects than performers of pious deeds are the knowers of Brahman. So again, gradation. More dear than they are devotees completely free from knowledge of Brahman. More dear than they. I don't think than them is right. More dear than they are devotees fixed exclusively in divine love, and more dear than they are gopis, and more dear than they is Sri Radhika. Her lake is similarly dear to Krishna. What fortunate soul would not take shelter there? More dear than them I'm sorry, I'm in editing mode here. More dear than they are. Are is understood. Oh, sorry. Anyway, but I have to look that up now in terms of grammatical. Okay, so this is the gradation within the those who are practicing spiritual progress. Those more dear than the fruitive workers who are performing pious activities for fruitive gain are those who are knowers of Brahman. Brahman means the spiritual nature of everything. The spiritual nature. But it is knowing only that is not at all full knowledge. Then beyond those are devotees who are not interested in that level of knowledge outside of devotion. And more dear to those devotees are devotees fixed in divine love. And more dear to those are the gopis, and more dear to those is Sri Radhika. Her lake is similarly dear to Krishna. What fortunate soul would not take shelter there? Any questions about that so far?
No.
So now we are going to read the commentary by Srila Guru Maharaj on this verse. This is on page 249. Illumination. Jai Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Here we find the second verse in Upadeśāmṛta that describes a comparative gradation. First, Vaikuṇṭha Janitobhara describes a gradation with respect to place. And here the second, Karmi Bhyaparito Hare, describes a gradation with respect to person. Right? Is that clear? So Vaikuṇṭha Janita, that means with regard to the plane or the place, like Vaikuṇṭha, then above Vaikuṇṭha is Mathura, and above Mathura. So these are mentions of certain divine places, you could say. But this is regarding divine personalities, the fruitive workers, the knowers of Brahman, and so on. So that's what in the second one is about gradations regarding persons. In this way, a comparative study of the transcendental world is shown to us. So side by side, we have the development of the devotee and the development of the plane of devotion. So side by side, we have the development of the devotee and the development of the plane of devotion. Regarding the devotee, we have Karma Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, and Yoga Mishra Bhakti, and then Jnana Shunya Bhakti, that is Shuddha Bhakti. Then within Shuddha Bhakti we find the rasas of Shanta, Dasya, Shankya, Vatsalya, and Madhura. Then within the higher class we find Svakya and Parakya rasa. Everything in all its intensity in Parakya rasa culminates in Radharani's service. And where? At Radha Kund. We know through this comparative gradation that service reaches its zenith there. It is the highest point. And within that is unlimited variety of lila. But there is the zenith of devotion in the camp of Radhika on the banks of Radha Kund. So what does Mishra mean? It means mixed. So Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Karma Mishra Bhakti, karma meaning elevation mixed in with bhakti, or Jnana Mishra Bhakti, and Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Then Jnana Shunya Bhakti means no conception of Jnana at all. And so on and so on. These are all different gradations of devotion. And we're studying these in many places and in many ways. And we're to understand these points because we are all affected by that. And we want to be aware of Jnana Mishra Bhakti in our own selves. That's not our practice. That's not what is given to us. But still, those things will be remaining within us, or perhaps Karma Mishra Bhakti. All these things are different levels of coverings over ourselves. And we have to become aware of those things in ourselves. And the Lord is very good at making us aware of things if we're paying attention. All right. We must seek out a comprehensive idea of the absolute whole, accommodating all. We are to deal with reality, not with the frame. What is what in the world of thought? Step by step, we are to understand and adjust. We want that. We are not enchanted or captured by the mere form. We want to know the step-by-step gradual development in thought. We want a realistic view of the whole in gradation. That is so huge. And each step of that is so revolutionary for us. Even something that we would be quoting or feel that we know, something will come to make us go deeper into that knowledge, into that understanding of what is what in devotion. And what the form is, as compared to the substance, that is also a progressive understanding. We may accept this very, very much theoretically, but there are so many steps to that real understanding. I was having a conversation with Sudarshan last night, and he was making some point to me that I couldn't really catch. I thought, well, he's talking about something we've spoken about so many times, but he's making a point in a strong way. And I thought, why is he making this point in a strong way? We've already discussed this so many times. But then I came to understand, no, I was not catching what he was saying. And he knew that. So I'm just saying that, these things are very mercifully coming to us by the grace of Gurudev, and we are kind of surprised sometimes when the depth of knowledge comes deeper, a little bit deeper, by the grace of, again, Guru and Gauranga and our friends. So all of these things we have to go through them very conscientiously, coming to deeper and deeper perspectives. Perspective means a higher look at the whole situation. So this is all very exciting. And we have our guardian, so we don't have to be afraid. Those things will come when it's time to come. And the environment is sometimes knocking us over our head to make us pay attention. The karmis want Krishna to do something so nothing's knocking them over the head. But that is the anti of progress. We're not. That is not our practicing life. Whatever the Lord is doing, we have to see whatever is going on. We have to see the Lord's will behind it and not fight against it, and not think it's bad, and not think it's part of the material world. That is a misconception. Everything I like is spiritual, and everything I don't like is part of the material world. That's not at all our conception. When things happen to us that we don't like, and we look back on them, we think, oh, I really made progress there. if we're paying attention to the lesson. Not so easy, but that is sadhana doesn't mean easy. Guru Maharaj said it's not a path strewn with flowers. That it's just going to be so soft and easy. We're going to be fighting battle after battle. Oh dear. We must seek out a comprehensive idea of the absolute whole, accommodating all. We are to deal with reality, not with the frame. What is what in the world of thought? Step by step, we are to understand and adjust. If Krishna consciousness is just what Guru Maharaj refers to here as the frame, then no adjustment is necessary. We just do the stuff that we do, and then we die and go to the good place. No, there must be amazing, one step after another, an internal adjustment. That's progress, not just I'm going to stick to this thing that I do for the rest of my life and then that's going to be good. No, that's the framework of our internal adjustment. Is that clear? The things that we're doing are important. They may be important, and later on they may not be important. But they're the framework of internal adjustment. They're to keep us in a good position. And also many of those things also through adjustment may become very significant. Or they may be left behind. But they will change in the plane of perception, for sure. And they must. Or they will just stay in the same place. Like the analogy that Śrīla Saraswatī Ṭhākur gives is, the wedding party. The gentleman who's getting married along with all of his friends jump in the boat at night to cross the river to come to the bride's home in the morning to be married. And they're rowing all night. And then when dawn comes, they haven't moved at all because they didn't pull up anchor. They didn't cut the moorings of the boat. So we don't want to do that. Our activities must be coupled with internal adjustment. And that is the basis of Sharanagati in our stage. So we have to give up this bifurcation of the spiritual world and the material world by the criterion of what I like and what I don't like. That is not an accurate measurement at all of one thing or the other. What I don't like is often the very best opportunity for adjustment. And when things are going well according to my mental prejudices, I tend to become stagnant. But the Lord knows what He's doing. We don't have to go out and try to find something hard. He's going to manage that. And in the very perfect way. In the perfect degree, in the perfect quality, in the perfect form, everything perfect. He is the perfect doctor. He not only knows the remedy, He knows the quantity and He knows the potency. But it's not easy, and we have to come to our friends when we need help. Oh, I cannot adjust to this. I cannot adjust. This is this, and this is that, and that is that. It's very difficult for me. And then some proper adjustment will come, but we cannot really apprehend what that's going to be. It can be very surprising. okay, if I surrender, then this is what surrender is going to look like. No, we don't know what it looks like. We've never done it before. And each incident is bringing a new type of understanding that is not had before, has not been had before. So we don't know what surrender looks like. Anyway, these are things that are very important for us to talk about, but they are not easy. But we are in it, we're in it come hell or high water. So I'll just read this again. We must seek out a comprehensive idea of the absolute whole, accommodating all. Not, oh, this is bad, this is material, and this is good. No, that is wrong. These are our mental prejudices making a big noise, or making a thing that is covering the canvas of the absolute reality. Absolute means absolute. There is nothing bad. Bad means my own resistance to the supremacy of the Lord. So we must seek out a comprehensive idea of the absolute whole, accommodating all. Are we ready to understand that material is only not doing that? That's what's material. We are to deal with reality, not the frame. What is what in the world of thought? Step by step we are to understand and adjust. We want that. We are not enchanted or captured by the mere form. We want to know the step-by-step gradual development in thought. We want a realistic view of the whole and in gradation. Vasudeva conception, it is all divine. But there is gradation past that also. Who is the divine feminine? And so on, and going to Vaikuntha conception, and beyond that, Vaikuntha, Janito, Mato. All these things are to be understood very much in gradation, but not compromising the whole at the same time. Gradation within the absolute. Haribol. Any questions? I mean, these are not things we're just going to wrap our heads around immediately, but we are definitely going to we are going to worship these conceptions day after day after day, and take the slaps that the environment is coming to give us to wake us up. Not to harm us. Guru Maharaj said, no one and nothing has any authority to harm you at any time. So we will see the Lord behind these things. And at the same time, we are practicing, and there are judgment calls being made. And we are respecting those judgment calls wherever we are. And sometimes those are also going to change. So we're living in a harmonious whole. Jai Śrī Upadeśāmṛta ki, Jai Śrīla Rupa Goswami Pad ki, Jai Śrī Rupa Nuka Guru Varga ki, Jai. Yes, sir.
Will you please develop on the idea that the basis is also the goal? For example, our goal is surrender, and at the same time, we must practice surrender now as our fundamental basis to connect with reality.
Right.
And within surrender, there's humility, self-giving, giving, embracing his guardianship, and at the same time, that's the goal. So now that we're talking about gradation, both in planes of consciousness and personalities, how can we see this, where we are at?
How can we see it?
The basis is also the goal.
It is the conception of the absolute, and it is understood in different gradations. See, now we see a bifurcated reality. Bifurcated means it's divided into 2 or 3 or whatever. But reality is absolute. It is one thing. It's reality. There's no non-reality except in the plane of consciousness by choice. But even that is within the absolute. Maya hiyasya jagadanda satani sute Traigunya tadvishaya veda vitayamana satvavalambi parasatvam vishuddha sattvam. No. Ichanurupam api yasya chachesta tesa Govinda mari purusham tamaham bhajami. So Maya, she's in charge. Maya hiyasya jagadanda satani sute Traigunya tad. She's in charge of the 3 modes of material nature, and Vishaya Veda, the Veda which is materialistic, the materialistic Veda. But whose instruction is she following? Govinda. She has no independence at all. Nothing has any independence. Everything is within the absolute. But we have free will because we are part and parcel of the Lord. We have free will to know that or to not know that, to accept that or to not accept that. But that is also within the absolute. That's not outside of Him, our free will. So this is something that we are going to come to the understanding of gradually. And then within the plane of reality, there's so much gradation. Vasudeva realization, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, the supersoul, a localized supersoul, the Lord within everything. He's within everything. But then beyond that, there's much more. Beyond the Brahman is that localized understanding. Then there's so much more. But it is all within reality. Gradation within reality. I don't know if I'm coming to your question. But anyway, we can talk about this more tomorrow morning and in our class at breakfast time. But
the second exclusive class?
Yes. and ask the question again in the morning. Because now it's gone late, but I think it's a great question, and we can discuss it a little bit more.
It's interesting because you were talking about what takes the consciousness to the next level, to the next radiation, and that is the awareness of the absolute.
Yes, and because of our connection with our Guru Varga, who are followers of Rupa Goswami, who is completely the darling of Mahaprabhu. Our understanding is very complete from the beginning. But we are seeing everything in relation to Govinda and, Rasaraj Mahabhav from the very beginning. But still, gradations of realization will certainly be there. But the sincere yogi, the sincere jnani, they are coming to these things very slowly. Very, very slowly. Jai Shri Guru Gaurachandra, Jai Gira Juki, Jai Devi Shakti Devi. But we are so fortunate because we have the conception of the Absolute coming from the beginning, and then we are making some progress through surrender. This is like a rocket ship compared to crawling up a mountain and gradually understanding what a mountain is. I mean, I don't even know if that's a good analogy. It's just impossible to compare the two. So we can talk more about that, and also tomorrow. If you bring up this question again tomorrow. It's a good question, really. Very good question.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Vaishnavism is such a complex system of beliefs.
A what?
A complex system of beliefs. But ultimately, it's simple.
System of concepts.
System of concepts.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to I know we cannot wrap our heads around the infinite, but since it's began systematic knowledge, it would be helpful to illustrate the core concepts of this system of beliefs. For example, the correlationships between sincerity, surrender, radiation, Kirtan,
yes.
Seva.
Yeah.
There has to
right.
Of course, there has to be a strong relationship with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So for those who are just beginning, like me, these concepts are like floating in the air, and they might not appear connected, like surrender, sincerity, etc.
Yes.
Jai.
Yeah. And all these things will come. We're hearing from the greatest souls who have ever placed their lotus feet on this, anywhere in the mundane world. We're hearing from them. So all these things will become clear and gradually. But we can discuss all these points as well, as far as we're able to. And the funny, interesting thing that tends to happen, if that is good for us, if that's the Lord's will, is our questions suddenly become answered. We'd suddenly look at a book. I remember driving in a place called Glastonbury in England, and there was a sign that said, what did it say? Oh my goodness, I've actually forgotten what that sign said. It was a sign about the traffic. It was in traffic. Something like, I can't remember, something like proceed with caution or something. And I thought, oh, yes, this is important. How do you all?
Actually, the other day, Srila Maharaj uploaded a video, and he said, proceed with caution in devotional life. And there's another experience that you allow me to share. Very briefly.
But it is already 1:15.
Yeah, and by the way, like the online devotees are having a taste of what the second class usually is. The other day, I was doing Seva with Lavanya Didi. It was about the digital Seva, which she has been
wonderful.
really helpful.
Wonderful, amazing.
And
Hare Krishna.
An interesting topic came up, Lolium, and how Lavanya was perceiving the word Lolium was greed, and how I was perceiving it was fickle-mindedness.
Oh, fickle-mindedness, okay.
And then...
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah.
So that was a sincere question that came up to me. Like, what is it? And after that, making that question, I was hearing repeatedly the word Lolium over and over again by you, by Sudarshan Prabhu, in other lectures that I was hearing. So it is true. If you have a sincere question, the environment is giving you the answer.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, actually. Because greed and fickle-mindedness are not really that different from one another. If we're greedy, then the mind is always going to be fickle. It's just not satisfied. It's just going to keep going from one thing to another to another. What was that? There's a word I heard yesterday that really reminded me about that. That right. That was from that verse. Yeah, that was right. That was right. Yeah. Just useless. Just useless. Just going through this and that and wanting this and that and then having that and then running off to another thing. This is also fickle-mindedness. And it comes in as, along with, atyahara prayasa, because we might be extremely enthusiastic for devotional life, and then this fickle-mindedness, this greed, that was fun but now I don't know, look up, and just gone. That's we have to watch out for that tendency. We have to, become steady. So all those points are really good points, and it's wonderful that you guys are discussing these matters. It's wonderful, in my estimation. Jai. Hari Hari Nama Krishna Yaravaya Nama. Hari Hari Nama Krishna Yaravaya Nama. Yaravaya Maravaya Keshvaya Namaha. Yaravaya Maravaya Keshvaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Shrimati Sudha. Giridhari Gopinath difficult to conceive of all rights reserved. Krishna can do anything he wants and change anything he wants, and we simply have to be ready for whatever service is coming to us. Not only physical service, but anything that's coming. It is very hard for us to conceive of that. The absolute reality is reckless and whimsical. Are we ready for that? Like, wait a minute, sir. You're not making any sense right now. I said, yeah, I don't need to. Jnana prayashamodapastanamunta eva. Jai Savarika Shri Guru Gaura Chandraju ki jai. Jai Shri Girajju ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribrajaka Statara Shri Śrīman Śrīla Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribrajaka Statara Shri Śrīman Śrīla Bhakti Rakak Shri Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Acharya Vrinda ki jai. Jai Sannyasi Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Kalidās Thakur ki jai. Jai Sad Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Saparshat Śrīman Mahāprabhu ki jai. We are listening about his pastimes with his parshat. Saparsha means with his associate. So we're hearing all these things in Chaitanya Charitāmṛta. And these associates of Mahaprabhu are the setting. They're beautiful, beautiful setting for Mahaprabhu's, for Mahaprabhu. Jai Saparshat Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat ki jai. Tadir Shaka Mat ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Mission ki jai. Kol Kartal ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Śrīmatī Tulsi Devi ki jai. Samaveda Vaishnava Mandala ki jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Nittai Gaur Premanandi Hari Bol.
Jai Srimati Śrī
Jai
Lekha Didi.
Gurudev ki jai.
We're so fortunate to have the association of Bhima Krishna Prabhu, of Lavanya Didi, Shanta Didi, and Q. By the way, Q would like to talk to us about some books acquisition.
Okay.
All right. Haribol.
Haribol. Now I'm going to go to the other side of the room and offer my obeisances properly.
Shri Rupa Goswami ki jai.